Yeah. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you and welcome to today's Port Council meeting on April 1st, 2025. I'd like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communications director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. If there is anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting, if so, please identify yourself. If you are joining virtually, please press the raise hand icon on the Zoom dashboard. If you are joining by telephone, press 9 on your keypad, and when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Act.
Hold on.
Okay.
You actually have to let people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Louisa?
Yes,
Okay.
Louisa
Oh, I'm
Hofstadter.
sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
okay, Nathaniel. Louisa Hofstadter with the Vineyard Gazette Media Group and the On the Vineyard podcast.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's all I see.
Okay. Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 as amended, Port Council members are participating remotely in today's meeting because of their physical attendances. Today would be unreasonably difficult. All Port Council members in attendance and all members participating in the meeting by Zoom video conferencing will be clearly audible to each other. As a result, the members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken today shall be by roll call. So who's in attendance? Was Eric Dewicki
Yes.
and Greg,
Yes.
Joe?
Yep.
John Cahill,
Yes, sir.
Gordon Carr,
Yes.
and Rob's not on yet, Sean?
I'm here.
Oh, beautiful. There he is. Okay, Rob Munier. And Nat Lowell from Nantucket is here. Okay, so I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Minutes?
For a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Eric,
Yes.
Greg,
Yeah, just quick point of order. You said the agenda. You meant the minutes?
well, I always do the agendas because I'm so used to it over here planning. So I kind of did that as just automatic, but yes, it's not on there.
Okay,
But
yes.
I'm sorry, I just did that because I'm so used to saying it.
Yeah.
On Nantucket with meetings I chair over here.
So it is the minutes is what the vote is on.
Yes, that's fine. Sorry. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Eric,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
John Cahill,
Aye.
Gordon Carr,
Aye.
Rob Munier,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. So up next is the management report. And we'll start with the Aquinnah and the Monomoy status.
Okay, Sean is bringing Mark over. So while he's doing that, we're here in the conference room in Hyannis. Besides myself, it's Terrence Keneally, Mark Rosem, Sean Driscoll, Allison Fletcher, Paul Hennessy, Zach Lawrence, Wendy Botello, Stephen Coleman, Sean Cameron, and a member of the public, Tom Innes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, good morning from Alabama Shipyard down here. So just this would be my final trip down here. Zach Lawrence will be taking over the Monomoy project going forward. So this is the update for the Aquinnah, Barnstable, and Monomoy. The Aquinnah is complete. This is a photo of her pier side. Next photo. And the bridge is complete, and the entire vessel is complete now. We're just completing DVTP design verification testing for the Coast Guard of new installations and also the periodic safety and testing procedures. Next slide. So just some random photos of the engine room. complete. Next slide. We've got everything, all the passenger areas here, which this photo is that many can recognize, same as the Barnstable is just complete. We've just got protecting all the seating with plastic over it and the floors. Next slide. This is ladies' washrooms. They've been completed. Next slide. And this is the freight deck has been completed in its coatings. And
Good background, Mark.
that is a tremendous sight to see the United States, CSS United States in the background, which I might add still holds the transatlantic record at 32 knots. It's kind of a very eerie. It looks very but in your face when you're standing on the pier. It's so large. It's an amazing vessel.
Mark, my parents had the privilege of sailing on that back from Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
And just interesting, Joe, how fast was she going on the trip back? Because she is.
I don't know. They went over on a French line and they came back, and this one was much quicker with the USS United States.
Yeah, the amazing part is this has 4 propellers on it. It's built for speed, and all the superstructure on it is aluminum for stability, which I found very interesting. All the stacks are aluminum. You can still see the brightness. Not to get off topic here, but this is probably the last in history that we'll see of this, unless you're diving in off Florida, where she's going to be a reef. Anyway, coming up on Aquinnah milestones, the stability test is complete. Engine mechanical startup is, we're doing the testing for the DVTP testing and the periodic safety testing for the U.S. Coast Guard. We anticipate being on sea trial next week and also completing a COI. So as soon as we're done with that, she's heading north, as we've got commitments for the vessel, and look forward to getting her up here. And so I'll move on to the next slide. This is the Monomoy. This picture is aged right now. She sits next to me here, and all the bulwarks. She is moving very quickly for her May 22nd launching back into the water. Next slide. And the stern ramp is installed. Next slide. This is all the subdivision bulkheads are installed and welded in. Next slide. And this is the final weldment section of the bow stern sections after removal of the 24-foot mid-body. Next slide. So with the Monomoy, the bulwarks, prefabrication and installation are complete. Sponsons and stern install complete. Mid-body removal has been completed. We're looking at a June 2025 stability test with sea trials to be determined. But she's right now on time. So where we are with the project, we have for all the vessels, 3 vessels, the budget is $80,996,648. We've made payments to date of $65,156,838. So outstanding commitments and allowances of $13,663,121. And a change from budget for Aquinnah is $3,456,666, and Barnstable ended up at $3,913,320. And with that, I'd take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. It's too bad about the USS America, United States, whatever. That's unbelievable.
It is.
What year was that built? More interested in that right now. Is that in the 20s or the 30s?
I think it was the late 40s, early 50s, but I'm not sure.
So is it steam or is it now converted? It had to be steam originally.
Yeah, it was steam. They had I don't know if anyone got a chance to see the in Boston, the Titanic exhibition, but a very similar but updated power plant from that. Oil fired.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, I did go to see the Titanic exhibition. It's excellent.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
if there's no questions on those two items, two boats, we'll go to the Iyanough maintenance and the, back in service discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up Zach Lawrence for that. Zach, if you're in the room.
Next to Terry.
Welcome, Zach.
Thank you.
Zach, has recently been promoted to Director of Engineering and Maintenance. He's been with us as one of our port engineers for the past 4+ years. And so we welcome Zach to his new role, so.
Congratulations, Bob. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And so for the past 5 years, I've actually gotten to oversee the Iyanough myself as port engineer. So it was nice to see it go back into service before stepping out of the role. So this winter, the Iyanough went to Fairhaven Shipyard for her dry docking. We renewed coatings from the keel to the rub rail guard, and on top of the containment that holds the luggage carts on the forward bow. Go to the next slide, Sean. On the underwater, this is the one of the jets. So you have the reverse bucket, which is toward the top, and in the center is the steering nozzle assembly. Craft Power Services are Hamilton jets, and they came out and did a full inspection and overhaul of the hydraulic systems this year for all the jets. So here's the fast ferry being transferred to the water. Sorry, Sean.
Ejector.
I know. So on the starboard aft, we had to remove due to damage the transom dreck guard, and so that's fully renewed. We took it right back to the stern, and Fairhaven Shipyard built entire new assembly and then hung it for us. Here's the Iyanough being launched. And then once we got the boat back to our repair facility, we had the job to swap out engine number 3. So here is that's the old engine coming out, and our guys at Fairhaven Repair did a phenomenal job. They had the engine ready to come out once it got pierside at Fairhaven in a day and a half.
Did we do that work?
We did.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yep.
Great.
And the engine is gonna be overhauled, but the engine that was taken out, there was a new crate engine that we had.
Yeah.
That we purchased, well, Zach went to Germany to watch the dyno test on it. So
21.
What are you doing with the old engine?
So we'll take it and we'll have to determine whether we can overhaul it ourselves or we have to sub that out, depending upon what we have in Fairhaven and for our other machinists.
Cool if you could do it in-house, yeah.
It would be.
Nice.
But for myself, when I started day one, I got sent down to the Iyanough to witness number 3 going into service after it had failed. And so that we've pulled it out now. So it's kind of a.
Can I just interrupt for a second, Zach? Eric, they've got an amazing setup with the spares. They have 2 spares now. And that new engine that they were referring to was an amazing way of getting that engine through the government's program of some of these engines they got one for the Woods Hole as well. So maybe Zach and you could talk about this, because to get you up to speed, you ask a lot of good questions about this stuff. And this is real important in how they've set this up to where we can swap engines in the off season without having to send them out and bring them back and all that, which is pretty much impossible. So this is a good program that we have.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Matt.
Zach.
No,
I just think it's such a great thing.
The spare parts program is gonna set you apart. Good on you. I love hearing it. Love to do a tour with you one day.
Absolutely.
When you're in Fairhaven.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Excellent.
So we'll finish with the financial snapshot. So our original contract price was $531,595. We had 8 total change orders, totaling $47,268, and so a grand total of $578,863. Anyone has any questions?
Yeah, I'd like, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just pick up on your point and maybe, Zach, welcome and congrats. If you could just explain that program that Nat referred to in terms of swapping out of the engines. And is it done on a prescribed basis, or is it done on a failure basis, or, how does that scheme work? I think we all agree it's a good idea, but I'm just curious about how it works.
So we do hour-based maintenance. MTU has a maintenance matrix that's based on the power curve and the performance of the engines. So these engines fall right in between 21,000 and 24,000 hours for their major overhaul, with intermediate maintenance in between all of that. So we try to land that in between 21,000 and 24,000 hours to remove the engine based on MTU's recommendations. So we have two engines and 2 gearboxes that after the in-season failures that we've had with the number 4 and the number 3, they're a little off schedule of each other. We would like to see them lined up in tandem so that we're doing them at the same time. So 1 and 2 will come due at the same time in 2027. So we'll remove 1 and 2 and put 2 new engines in with their gearboxes.
Okay. So when you say new engines, you really mean the spare?
New overhaul.
Yeah.
Fresh overhaul.
Right. Okay.
So the engine that was put in was a new engine. There was a program that we're able to, because these are tier 3 engines, excuse me, tier 2 engines, right? One? Sorry, I could do 2.
Yes.
We were able to work with MTU on having a spare. We already had a block that we had were able to obtain for one that we've built out to be a spare engine at this point. So the idea being is that with the spare block that we had that we built out to the engine and the engine we were able to obtain through MTU, we're able to do 2 at a time when it comes time. Right now, it's just that, as Zach said, that number 3 engine is was a little off schedule compared to the others.
And so we'll work when number 4 comes due, we'll work to align 3 and 4 again.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And at the same time, we did buy a spare engine for the Woods Hole as well. And that's probably where I'm confused on which tier it was. So
That's right.
Excellent explanation, better than mine.
How many hours annually? What's the range that we're putting on each engine?
The fast ferries of approximately 4,000.
4,000 a year.
Approximately.
And are all 4 engines are interchangeable?
If need be, yes, they are. They're all the same engine.
Yeah.
Not the gearboxes.
Right. Turning different directions.
They have just a different offset. The forward engine sits outboard and the after engine in the pontoon sits inboard.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Question on MTUs. Do they do a certification program for your engineers? Type ratings, or what is in place for you guys to have a little bit of extra training to monitor
So if we want MTU, they do provide schooling. I worked with their operations manager to learn how to use the die assist program that some of our machinists also know how to use, so that we can plug in and pull data off in the event of problems and alarms.
What about your operating engineers? Are they getting certified at all for any type ratings or?
We haven't sent the engineers just because of how they can rotate. So we have not done that.
Okay,
As part of this too, as these engines are rebuilt, we do take advantage of the, having those sent out to have them dynoed afterwards to make sure that everything is.
yep. Okay, you guys good now?
Yes, thanks.
Zach, is there anything else, the generator situation that got fixed? And that she's been running pretty good for this.
Yeah, so, just before going into season, during startups, we had a failure of, the port, generator end. But we had a spare on the shelf that we, installed, and tested, and we haven't had any issues.
And again, just to reiterate to you guys that having these redundant situations is so important for us, and having parts, having spares, having the way they maintain these things and have similar products with the other boats has always been a positive situation. And that Fairhaven shipyard is unbelievable. How they whip that thing out of the water like that. It's crazy. So we're lucky to have them. Okay. The Woods Hole dry dock, which I forgot about. Forgot all about that.
Okay, moving back into the Woods Hole Dry Dock, this will finalize. She's back in operation. Next slide, please. So this is her just before a launch date in March, all dressed up, ready to go. Next slide. Just picture the stern end painted out, got all our structural steel repairs done in the rub rail areas. Next slide. This is just a picture of the backside of the Thornton bearing that we've installed, and this has been a critical part of our preventive maintenance as we can adjust bearing sizes as we take machine shafts, as we sent these shafts down to Steinling and Brothers for refurbishment. Next slide. And this is one that I wanted to just bring up because we had one of our port engineers, William Langlois, picked up right before the docking. This is the Woods Hole bow thruster prime mover lube oil analysis, and we picked up the copper content was increasing. We run a 10,000-hour planned maintenance overhaul interval. We were high 8s at the time, and Will came and said he didn't like the copper content, so we elected to do a complete overhaul of the prime mover in the shipyard. Next slide, please. And we found a bearing wiped, and this is, if you look close, the backing has some copper in it, as well as some other areas. So this is a great find of being able to, look through, and it's to our diligence of port engineers. We watched the lube oil analysis really closely. It's a great indicator of your condition in the engine at the time, and it's best we do this overhaul now. It's better to do it in January and February than it is in July, because we can't operate in any type of weather without that bow thruster on the Woods Hole. Next slide. This is another part of the white bearing on the thruster prime mover. You can see the copper content that picks up in the oil analysis. Next slide. And the dry docking, there was a 1.251236 million, and we had 22,000 in transportation, and a total of 1.229736. We have some change orders which are coming in still, but we're within our budgets on that. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I just curious, Mark, is there anything that we should be thinking about systemically with respect to this failure? Or is this normal wear and tear, or does this have to do with, shallow draft? What's the reason, do you think?
We can't really we take our lube oil samples quarterly, and it's a great tool for seeing inside the engine while in operation. We follow, the factory overhaul intervals, and this is just one. It may have gone full length of the overhaul, and this one didn't. We're very diligent on our planned maintenance program, so this is just one of those ones which, for whatever reason, you could have a burnished bearing in there from startups or whatever. But point is, we caught it in time, and
No, I get that, and that's great. I just didn't know if there was anything to read into it. Have we overhauled this before, since we've owned this vessel?
No, this is number one, but we do have, this is a Caterpillar C18 engine, and we have a number of these throughout the fleet, all the auxiliary engines on the Island Home and also on the Barnstable and Aquinnah and Monomoy are all the C18 engines. So we have great familiarity with this engine. So I guess the rule is follow your planned maintenance, and this is what planned maintenance does well, is picks up, overhauls, and this is why we do it.
Yep, understand. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. When is she back in the water? Up here, or not up here, but up towards Hole or whatever.
Oh, you mean the Aquinnah?
No, I'm talking about the Woods Hole. Is it already back out, or?
It's on the run, on the Woods Hole run.
It's already on the run. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next item is the Woods Hole terminal status.
All right, I'll take that one. So moving right along, so this is the artist, the design imaging of what the lobby area of the building would be, with the windows looking out into Woods Hole Village. So next. So this is the actual construction. So you can see that the exterior formworks in the top corner for the terminal building were on. They poured the concrete. They've since been removed, and they're working on the top, installing the connections for the roof materials. So the glue lamp, excuse me. Next. This is in the utility building. So you'll see that there's an extensive amount of conduit for this in this building, because all the electrical for the site will be running through this building, and they're getting ready to pour the covering floor. Next. Some of the excavation that was taking place at the site, these are taken up in what we refer to as the employee lot. They're doing this to connect the geothermal wells up in that area. Next. Again, just another view on the trench work that need to be done in order to connect those wells. Next. And you'll see that they're running that conduit down to the utility building in these photos. So next. So they have they're already pulling wires. They're getting ready. I think later on you'll see a picture of some of the walls for the individual rooms taking place. Next. You can see that bottom left corner is the glue lamp beams that are on the second floor, and that's the top left is the hallway where the employee break room and locker room is next. And this is a snapshot of where we stand. So the contract for the building was 32,134,000. So far, we've had just under $441,000 in change orders for it. So about 1.4% of for change orders on that. I will point out, so in terms of the terminal building, the exterior walls have been poured. The slab for the utilities has been installed, and they already did the what they refer to as the first lift of the foundation of the mat slab has been completed. They're working on storm and sewer drainage installation. The structural steel was scheduled to begin in April, but I understand that there may be a slight delay in that. The utility building, as I pointed out, the piping installations have been ongoing. The building superstructure has essentially been completed. They will be going back now that the weather's changing. They'll be going back and installing the stone veneer on the front, on the first floor, and then the wood on the second floor. And then the interior partitions have been framed and the drywall has started. There was also, I think I missed there's the stair tower was nearly complete. It's probably complete at this point. And so work will continue at this site through the summer. The contractor is aware that they can't be bringing any big heavy equipment or units, but they can be working in the interior within the footprint of the work zone. So by doing so, the engineers had estimated that we save about 9 months of construction by allowing them to work through the summer. So with that, anyone has any questions?
Anyone have anything? Bob?
Looks like Mr. Cahill has his hand raised.
Okay, go ahead, John. Sorry.
You're muted, John.
There we go. What will the site look like as the summer starts in terms of people, a large amount of people flowing through? Are we taking any concern? You brought up one concern, but I'm just concerned about public safety as we move into June, July, and August.
Yep. Yep. So the goal is to shrink that work zone as much as possible by the time June comes along. They still will have the utility building won't be completed, but that's off to the side. But the terminal building being in the center of the property, we'll have to be working around that. We are going to be looking at redoing some of the passenger walkways to make sure that those are delineated better. Right now, there's a number of different versions of the pathways, or because of the changing construction patterns that we've had over the past 7-8 years. So we'll be working on that. The big thing is that we're going to be looking at moving the pickup and drop off area to behind where the construction trailers are, because we've looked at it right now. The pickup and drop off is to the south side, just south of the temporary terminal building, and those vehicles are then exiting out where the buses are going, and it's cutting right in front of the terminal building. I mean, literally right in front of the terminal building. And from a safety standpoint, we don't want that situation to be occurring. So we're waiting on some equipment. We're going to put in a gate in that area, so that way employees can park next to the building. And then we'll have by doing so, we'll be able to move employees out from behind where the construction trailers are, and use that as the pickup and drop off area. And then they'd be exiting off the exit where the people that park in the back parking lot exit, next to the bike path, so.
Thanks, Bob.
Mr.
We
Chairman,
probably, we are also, we'll be looking at getting a golf cart down there to be able to shuttle people around the building. You know, if they're over in slip one, it's a little bit of a hike, so I think we'll need to have you know, something available to be able to transport people over there as well, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, Bob, when is the estimated completion date for that?
I haven't seen the most recent one, but I believe it's either the end of April of 2026 or beginning of May of 2026. So prior to next summer season, so.
I know there is some confusion because every time I've been down to catch the boat, it's a different traffic pattern to get to the boat.
We do have another phase after the construction of the building will be the final site work that needs to be done, and that includes the bike parking area and what we're going to be doing over at Cahoon Park. So we are you know, we've trying to finalize as much as possible where the traffic patterns and that, and we'll be submitting that to the town for the curb cut permits that for the site.
Thank you, Bob.
Rob, you get your hand up.
Yeah, Joe asked my first question, which is about the end date. The second one was about what's the square footage of the two buildings? And does that 32 million include the geothermal work?
Yeah, it includes the geothermal. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. The terminal building itself is just slightly, it might even be the same as what we have in Vineyard Haven. I'll get you those numbers. I apologize, I don't have them off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Okay.
Matt, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
So, Bob, there's been, you know, emails sent, I've sent them to you in terms of questions from the community.
Yeah.
Have you scheduled like a meet and greet or a public meeting just to kind of keep people appraised as to what's going on? I know it's always contentious anytime there's a new project in any community, right? So, you know, I know in my experience, you know, when we do a new project in Fairhaven, for example, we'll invite the neighbors and talk about it, you know, just to create dialogue. Is there a plan to do that now that you've gone, you know, pretty far distance to bring people up to speed?
Yeah, so, and then, now that you're saying this, I think the last time you may have asked it, and I'm remiss, I didn't get that to you. The number of public meetings that we held regarding the project, and yes, we haven't held one recently because essentially the project hadn't changed much in that time period. You know, the number of those questions that have been asked and answered, but I have been talking with Mr. Peter Jeffries about, you know, would it be appropriate to have yet another meeting just to kind of update people as to this is where we stand in the progress that we've been making, and you know, trying to get to the point where you know, this is the direction that the project has been taken. So
I think you get great things to report on, quite honestly, right? And it's a cool project. It's going to be a great asset to the community, clearly. I wouldn't be shy to let people know, right? It's really Bravo Zulu, as we say. You know, it's well done. I'm excited about it.
The amount of, you know, work that's gone into this to, you know, trying to, you know, we're a public transportation agency that's water dependent, and taking into account sea level rise and all the requirements there, and making sure that we're, you know, ADA accessible. by all means, and, yes, there's been some compromises that I think if some of us, were looking at it differently, we would have, but, but we'll be looking at that and having further discussions, but
Yes, I think it's just being a great neighbor, right? And it's making sure the community gets to participate, air their concerns, right? And assuage those concerns, and I think you have nothing but the capacity to be proud of this project, really, and looking at it, and I just think involving the neighbors and being proud about explaining what has gone right, and there are pitfalls in every project, and what do they want to see in the future as well. I think it's okay to be able to do that, and there's nothing negative about what you're doing. It seems like it's a real positive project for Woods Hole. As a kid that grew up running around the streets of Woods Hole barefoot, I'm excited about it. I just think it'll be neat to be able to inform them.
I got the square footage if you want me to.
okay.
Rob, I looked up the square footage. The terminal building net square footage is about 5,400 square feet, and the utility building is about 4,500 square feet.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
And as long as I got the floor here, just picking up on Eric's comment, one thought might be at some convenient time when there's something to show, you might host a walkabout and have folks just look at the site and you can explain what's going on. And, that might be a way, as opposed to a meeting at the library. You have something to look at right now. And that would be a way of really directly answering questions that people have. So that's a thought. I realize you got a construction project, you got operations going on, all those things, but maybe there'd be a convenient time that could happen.
And it may be helpful to explain what the vision is for the site work that will be done as the next phase of this project, and what we're looking to do in terms of the bike path, parking for the
Exactly.
bicycles.
Yep.
And also Cahoon Park.
And to show off, maybe, if you can do it at the start of the season, once construction is sort of secured, and you can show what the wayfinding and circulation is going to be both for pedestrians and vehicles, on that walkabout that Rob suggested, which makes a ton of sense. That can kind of give people some familiarity about how you're going to manage around the construction for the season.
Good points.
Okay, is everyone good? We'll move on to the reservation system requests for proposals or for responses.
All right, so as everyone's aware, we'd issued the RFR back in December. We had over 25 requests for that package. There were 5 addendums that we ended up issuing to address over 50 questions that came up. Back on February 21st, nine submittals were received, which is a couple more than what we initially anticipated, but we're pleased to be able to get such a good cross section of systems to look at. The valuation team independently reviewed each proposal, and then they met this past week actually to discuss them as a team. They're at this point looking to schedule some demos of some of the proponents that they'll be doing here in the next couple of weeks. What the goal is to be coming back at the May meeting with a recommendation to award a contract for the next reservation system. And with that, Stephen or Mark can answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. How many people were selected to put on demonstrations?
4.
4. Out of the 9 submittals?
If I may, Chair.
Yep, go ahead, Eric.
What were the metrics that you used to determine which four were selected?
There were roughly 700 individual criteria on the operations side and a couple hundred on the infrastructure side, broken up into various categories such as customer experience, integration with the accounting system, commercial experience, ticketing, website, tying in with their own website or current website, whatever it may be, but we can send you what the RFR was.
And the independent reviewers used that set of
We literally went
criteria.
through line by line by line. And
Used it as a
Yep.
grade or as?
yep, we had a
box check?
grade from highly advantageous to not advantageous with areas in between. And each person individually went over it and we discussed it as a group for each criteria. I think it was A through N. I think it was off the top of my head.
I think this is the most important project on the steamship's plate right now, right? It's taking care of those customers, managing your business, right? And it's, for me, it's the one thing I keep hearing from everybody that they're worried about, right? In terms of customers and, so it's number one, exciting that it's moving forward. Number two, you definitely, it's gonna be a challenge to get it right, you know, so, it's intriguing and it's a little bit scary, quite honestly. So I'm happy it's moving forward.
So Eric, to answer the question on the spreadsheet, there was 764 line items for the functional requirements. Went A through O, but there was a typo, so it's really A through N. So as far as the categories go.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for for that. Does anyone else have anything? I don't see any hands up. We'll move on to the, if not, we'll move on to the Barnstable performance update. Not sure if that's gonna be a Mark A and a Zach combi, or,
I think it's gonna be a Mark A and a Paul Hennessy.
oh,
project
okay,
together.
sorry about that, Paul. I got you now. I didn't realize that. I saw him in the room and I wasn't thinking about this. Very good.
Okay, I'll start off and then I'll acquiesce to Paul on it. So just wanted to give an overall of the initial run-in period here for the Barnstable performance. Next slide. So 2 years ago, we went with Marin to do a statistically based speed power prediction in June of 2022. And we came up with results. Next slide, please. So to the slide to the left, is a speed power curve. And the slide to the right of the SSA measured performance. And you can see the yellow band, and that's the operating area which we have been operating in. And I'm glad to say that we're right on the money as far as the prediction of that curve was spot on. And we've been running usually between 12.2 and 12.8 knots, depending on tides and everything thrown in. Next slide, please. And
Okay. Yeah. What Sean's gonna show you here, took yesterday's trip, the most recent trip, and to show the
it's still in AIS as the North Star, but you can see it. That's the track, how it runs, and this has been pretty mirrored. In one tide area, it'll be going against the tide. It'll be low 12s, and then on the return trips, it gets higher in 12.5, 12.6. We've hit 13 many times on it.
So this is the first trip yesterday morning. As you recall, it was we had a little weather yesterday as well, so
So what the AIS is showing us, as you saw the boat slow down, it's slowing down at broken ground. It's the shallow area out by Bishop and Clark's. It's probably about a little less than 5 miles from the entrance of Hyannis Channel. So the boat has to slow down. All our conventional ferries do because the vibration's too much. It's charted depths are between 15 and 19 feet. So we have to, there's too much vibration on the vessel, too much damage. So
Yeah, good.
as Mark pointed out, we are making our curve. We're doing exactly what we proposed. This slide is a snapshot of the loads that in recently, and you'll see the red numbers that's when the vessel turns into an I boat. Okay, I'll give you the cliff notes. So the Barnstable and Sanctity have a stability letter where they could be an H boat or an I boat. So that's based on drafts. So on the Barnstable, when it goes past 10, it turns into an I boat. Okay, and the good news about these facts for the people in Woods Hole, Nat doesn't have to deal with that much. When we have the mixed loads in Woods Hole, if we had 2 or 3 heavy trucks, it would always go to an I boat, which would reduce the passenger count. So anytime it's a passenger vessel is an H boat and a cargo vessel is an I boat. So an I boat is, the regulations are always 16 passengers. That's different from a hazardous boat, where that regulation is 25. So the Woods Hole is always an H boat, and they can take hazardous, but then it's 25. They never drop to an I boat if they don't get to that point. Hopefully I explained that.
Yeah, so I think for the public's sake, it's the subchapter regulated by the Coast Guard as to how it's categorized. Now, does that affect the safe manning levels or just passengers?
Just passengers.
Yeah.
So, like the containment and gay that we used to own, if we got like 2 or 3 heavy trucks, it would drop down to 16, and that would always be a problem for the vineyard run because the loads are always getting mixed. I mean, we wish we could just have cars and trucks, but we don't. So with this boat, the Barnstable, we could put 5, 6 heavies and still stay in H boat and still take the maximum passenger count, which is huge, especially for the Woods Hole.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a load going on in Nantucket.
Okay.
Questions?
Yes, Paul and Mark. Sorry, I just have to get this out quick because this is, if we could just, how do I say this? We gotta be like really clear in this whole conversation about what we're talking about. We've never talked about this IH thing like this before, ever, because there really wasn't a lot of questions. We knew what was going on and that was kind of it, but now it's changed because this boat was designed to be essentially the Woods Hole that you back up on at the right time. That's what how I refer to it. That's actually Allison's line that she gave me originally. It was kind of funny, but anyway, so I thought it was an I boat up to 10.3.
10.3 is the max. 10.3 is the max draft from the stern. If you go past 10.3, the boat can't leave the slip. Then it's null and void.
Okay, all right.
We have from 10 on the stern to 10.3. 3 inches to play with. So if it goes past 10, it changes to an I boat on the Barnstable.
I mean, all right, excuse me. Okay. H carries carries the number. I carries 16 or 25, depending upon. Is it 16?
Like I explained, the Woods Hole never becomes an I vessel. It can take hazardous.
Yeah.
Which the Coast Guard is 25 passengers.
Yeah.
I boat is always 16.
Okay.
It's a passenger vessel and a cargo vessel.
So
think like that.
So the Barnstable is essentially like the Sanctity. When it reaches that draft, it turns into 16.
Correct, but as you see by the snapshot, it takes a lot of weight for that to go to an I boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Into the Sanctity, which 2 heavy trucks and you're on the cusp.
No, I understand. I wasn't making that kind of comparison. I'm just trying to. Okay, so okay. This is a separate conversation for another. Well, I guess we can bring it up now, but the work in progress that's been going on has been great. Okay, as far as like everyone getting familiarized to speed of loading, location, dealing with those hatch things. I think that the agents, and this is where we gotta all be sort of in the same bucket of positions and all that kind of stuff. I hate all these separate positions sometimes because it feels like different when that's happening. This case, when that boat is running at 4:30 or 4:15, whatever the schedule is, it's important that either the 5:30 boat leaving Hyannis or the 4:15 or 4:30 boat can be sort of the one that's going to take people if we have heavy trucks on the dock. That's the catch, Paul. That's going to come now because we have that schedule just started last week. I'm thinking about this time of year when we're going to have 2 freight boats per se, not the Woods Hole yet. And then in the fall, that will happen again, where there's the mindset of, okay, what boat are we going to be? What's going to be the true mixed load boat, and what's going to have those heavy landscape trailers on it, that kind of thing. And I think they're going to figure that out on their own, because I've talked to one of the agents that's on, and that was his discussion with me. So that's really my biggest concern, because everything's about leaving Hyannis. It's not going to be an issue from Nantucket. It's not going to happen. There's not going to be a 10-foot-3 issue over there. Just can't see how that's going to happen unless there's something specific going on that is a rare occasion. Okay, well, I appreciate everything you guys are doing with this as well. So
You seen that? It took 10 semis?
What was that?
Took 10 semis to Barnstable?
I see that in the picture.
Yeah, like that.
I love that. There's a couple of other things though, which we're working on in the morning trip, but yes, that is fantastic that can fit like that. I just hope there's enough people know how to back up in the future. God, that's the biggest issue is less people can. That's one thing you guys are going to have in your favor on the Vineyard route is every truck has a driver attached to it. That should make a big difference over there, staying on schedule. So anyway.
Mr. Muni has his hand raised.
Mr. Muni, go ahead. What did I do? Get off a gallery somehow? How did that happen?
Yeah, just to capture, I think, where Nat was going with that last line of discussion. Are we able to, fulfill our schedule, maintain our schedule, operate within the schedule with the new vessel? I see what you've said with respect to its cruising speed, but all of the pieces end to end, are they coming together in a way that we're able to meet our schedule?
Yes.
I think, short answer is yes. As Mr. Lowell pointed out, there still is a learning curve in terms of loading the vessels. The turnaround, the loading has improved significantly since they first had the vessel on the run. Of course, when we get to the point where we have the Aquinnah or the Monomoy and we're down on the Vineyard run, we'll have that learning curve with the shoreside people. Training wise, the crews have been on the Barnstable, so they should be well aware of how best to load the vessel. So, but it remains a work in progress as we continue to try to see. One of the things that I think Paul pointed out was or Nat pointed out about hatches, and I think Mark is looking at the Monomoy having an additional escape hatch done for the steering gear room, so that way it gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of how the vehicle deck ends up getting loaded. So, correct, Mark?
Correct. We'll have
Yeah.
it for the Aquinnah also, we're putting on the additional hatch. It just gives the emergency escape location so that if it can be covered in one side and not the other, it gives us versatility in the loading.
Yeah, and since Bob, I mean, what Rob just brought up and Bob commented on, I just want to circle back onto something else I didn't. Okay, so on each route, like we can be late a few, 20 minutes. It doesn't matter over here. However, this is where it gets into the printed schedule versus we'll call it the gayhead schedule, the gas boat schedule, the one that leaves at 5:30, 11 and 10:45 and 4:15 from Hyannis. That is how do I say this? That's the work in progress that we're on right now. The Sankaty's running on the 5:30. I mean, on the what we would call the printed schedule on our side. So that doesn't really count. Once we get both of these new boats in that system, this kind of fits into what I was saying with Paul. One of those boats has got to, the one that's on the printed schedule has to be closest to being on time. When we first started talking about this, I brought up something with, I don't know who I was talking with. It was on the Bob, Allison, Mark, I'm not sure, but something in the schedule that says times, boat, may leave, 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late, some way of saying maybe being at the boat 45 minutes ahead instead of 30. We may have to change some of those things a little bit on our route. I'm strictly talking about. So, and this has been traditional with the other boats. This isn't new. The Gayhead and the Katama were never right on time like the Eagle or the Woods Hole is. So there is going to be some new adjustments, but it's really based on what we always have done. We just never had two boats like this on the same route at the same time. So that's, I guess, my best way of explaining the timing on our route. On your route, you gotta be, I mean, you should be able to load faster because you got everybody in a vehicle. You're not having dock workers running to get a car that's on driver services that slows things down. You're going to be able to just boom load like any boat, whether it's a backup, spin around, or drive on. So to be determined, but that's how I'm seeing it from way over here. Am I close, Paul?
Yeah, just to mention, as you said, that those two trips, those are the hazardous trips. And we're lucky we're getting the same truck drivers, they're doing the same backup 5 days a week. That turnover is real fast. We can get in and out really fast, faster than the half-hour allotment. Because the drivers are there and the good drivers, and they do the same thing every day.
He's referring to the 5:30 a.m. and the 1:45 p.m. guys, so you know what he's saying. And it does help pick up that little bit of time you may lose on a different trip, which is important. So, I mean, I think we're going to be, and it's just going to be a new normal. We just have to get there. We're not quite there yet. So, and I want to also, well, I guess I'll say that in the other new business to get that for now. Does anyone else have anything on this? Don't know how much, want to talk about this. I mean, I have never tried to be so positive in my life as I have with this. And the one thing that I want to bring up, I spoke to Allison yesterday about this, and I've talked ad nauseum for over 20 years about this. The multi-stop food trucks getting on that first boat, or most of them getting on that first boat to get here for their ridiculously insane day of delivering on this island. It is a disaster delivering over here. And it's getting worse, actually. A lot of the drivers are retired that were coming here for years, and they knew all the tricks. They knew all the secret ways to get food to somewhere without a real loading zone. Those days have changed. It's harder for them. The new guys are figuring out where to go. But making sure that everyone knows about priority standby, go ahead rather for the food trucks that are there in the morning with 6:30 reservations to get on the 5:30. Through the bulk system, making sure that that's working the way it should with the new space available on that first boat is going to be really important and going to be big for us to get those trucks over here earlier in the morning when possible. It also helps the companies pick their loads better. Like Cisco has a lot, and US has a lot of out of town trucks, so they can plan that truck to be the one that gets on the 6:30 boat because they're out of town. This is going to help them as well as just overall process over here. Okay, that's it for me.
I think this is, at this point, we just wanted to give one final update on the status of the Barnstable, but I think at this point, the vessel is running pretty much as we expected, and we're on to the Aquinnah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you, Paul. Next item is the stuff that I don't understand. That's your stuff, John and Joe. Is this yours, Allison?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So I'm just giving a quick update on the Blue Line. We've been having that in operation since January 4th. From January 4th to March 21st, the Blue Line was utilized successfully 762 times, leaving Vineyard Haven. And due to vessel space availability, it didn't start in Woods Hole until January 10th to March 14th. They've used it a total of 273 times. As many of you know, Blue Line is a directional and time of day situation, so it's very popular leaving the Vineyard in the morning and leaving Woods Hole in the afternoon. We have also trained all our ticket sellers in the callback system when needed. We haven't used it yet, but we have put a few cars on there just to show what it would look like if we were actually in the process of using it. Actually, I have in Vineyard Haven too, so if you wanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know we were doing this there.
So Sean's gonna be bringing up our current website, which is going to show that there's currently 2 cars waiting to be called back to Woods Hole for the Blue Line to get in line, and currently 1 car waiting to be called back for the Blue Line for Vineyard Haven. Like I said before, we currently haven't been utilizing this yet because we've had enough room on the property to line up Blue Lines. But when it starts to get busy in the summertime, we'll be utilizing that program. We do want to remind customers that Blue Line does not guarantee passage on the next boat, that it is standby for islanders. So if there is room, you will get on the boat, but it does not guarantee you on that boat. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go ahead, Joe.
Allison, if I had a reservation on the 2:30 boat and I was down there at 1:15 and I don't get on the 1:15, do they pull me out of line and put me on the 2:30?
You might have to remind somebody, but yes, they will.
Okay.
Yep. So we
Because we don't
highly
give up our
recommend.
I'm sorry, we don't give up our
Sorry.
reservations anymore.
Nope, absolutely not. Nope, you get to keep your reservation. And yes, our dock workers are very good at remembering things, but sometimes they'll forget that they might have some on the next boat. So it's always good that the customers are due diligent and remind them that they're in there, and they'll pull them out and get them in line for their actual reservation.
Excuse me, thank you.
Or they might be looking at the numbers and tell them that you don't have a chance, so come back for your reservation.
most of them are pretty good about that, saying, I'll get you on the next boat, or I'll get you on the
Yeah.
freight boat, which
Especially this
happened to
time.
me about 2 weeks ago. Just to reiterate to Nat, I had a back on the freight boat. It's the old days of backing on the Knobska.
But you
Circling.
did a great job of it,
Circle.
so that's all that matters.
Sometimes you had a back on the Vineyard.
Recommending that we continue to keep this program going at this time.
Okay. Does anyone else that understands what Allison's talking about have anything to say?
What's the public reaction so far?
I will, if I can,
Um,
Mr. Chair.
What's that?
John, go ahead. Sorry.
I was
about
just
that.
gonna say, Allison, thank you. You know, I've gone back and forth about 10 times since January, and we've had to use that blue line, and it's worked out very well. The staff down by the boat seemed very knowledgeable about it, knew exactly where to put us, and we got over earlier than we had planned. So thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Mr. Chair, just.
Yeah,
one
go ahead,
quick-
Eric.
What is the public reaction so far?
Public beyond the Islanders or the Islanders?
I think everybody.
The Islanders, it was a learning curve because it's one of those programs that people understood but didn't really ever take full advantage of it. So now people are starting to understand it and see the benefits of it. Like I said earlier, it's one of those things that customers need to remember that just because they qualify for the blue line doesn't mean they automatically get on a boat. It's standby, but just only for Islanders. Those that don't qualify for the program, we've had a lot of space availability. So they've been pretty much able to either call the reservation department or go inside to the ticket office and have their tickets changed. And there hasn't been any real issues with that, so.
So seems to be working well.
Seems to be working well, yes. We have growing pains, but as it happens, we correct it and go on from there, so.
Everything new has growing pains.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the changing construction patterns and the flow of the traffic down there, it's always something different, so.
Good. Well done.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I think,
Yep.
when this was originally proposed back, the end of last year, it was recommended it only be, for the winter schedule. And at this point, we would like to, continue this program because obviously we have ongoing construction down in Woods Hole. We would like to see, the full council wants to, recommend one way or the other, whether to continue this or not.
Okay, so you need some action on this. I would accept the motion from anyone to,
So move to continue it, Mr. Chairman.
yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? John,
Cahill, yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Eric,
Aye.
Greg, Gordon,
Yes.
and Rob.
Probably muted.
That was a quite quiet yes.
Okay,
Rob, you're muted.
Yes.
and chair votes aye. Thank you, Allison, for that.
Thank you, Allison.
Like I said, if anything happens, we'll continue to update and
Here, there.
go.
Hold on.
Okay, make additions or changes that we need to,
It's
so.
just the TV connection.
Great job.
Okay. Yeah, it's sort of a, work in progress. I mean, especially with the construction down there, that must make it that much more difficult.
Like a living organism, it's gonna continue to grow and change, so.
Okay, so the preliminary draft 26 schedules. This is always fun. I gotta stay focused on this.
So just give me a second, still trying to get my paperwork in order. All right, so the proposed 2026 operating schedules is gonna be from January 5th, 2026 to January 5th, 2027. It would start one day later and end one day later than it did in 2025. The schedule for both Martha's Vineyard, both the Martha's Vineyard and the Nantucket routes. The 2026 Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket operating schedules would be essentially the same as 2025, with the exception of the assigned vehicles and the start and end dates of the schedule. We are going to start with the Vineyard first. The proposed 2026 operating schedule for the winter will be January 5th to March 29th. That's one day later starting and one day later ending than in 2025. The Vineyard route, you will have the Martha's Vineyard. We had the Martha's Vineyard, the Island Home, the Sankaty. Now we'll be having the Martha's Vineyard, the Island Home, and the Aquinnah. The Island Home will be going out for its repairs during that time period, and then in place of that will be the Nantucket and the Woods Hole filling in. The next schedule would be the spring schedule. That's March 30th to May 13th. You will be seeing the Martha's Vineyard, the Island Home, and the Woods Hole operating on the Vineyard Road. The late spring schedule goes from September. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing now. May 14th to June 18th, and there'll be the Nantucket covering for the Martha's Vineyard while it goes in for its spruce up. The Island Home or the Nantucket again covering for spruce up of the Island Home, the Aquinnah, and the Governor. The summer schedule is June 19th to September 10th. The Vineyard route would see the Martha's Vineyard, the Island Home, the Nantucket, and the Aquinnah operating on that schedule. For the fall, it'll be September 11th through October 22nd, where it'll be the Nantucket, the Island Home, the Aquinnah, and the Governor. And then the winter spring from September 23rd to January 5th of 2027 would be the Martha's Vineyard, the Island Home, and the Aquinnah. The Nantucket route. For the beginning schedule, for the winter schedule, you will have the Nantucket and the Woods Hole running. And then when the Eagle comes back from its repair, it'll be the Eagle and the Barnstable. This spring, we'll have the Eagle, the Barnstable, and the Aquinnah running, and the Iyanough will be double crewed from March 30th to May 13th. During the spring schedule, we will usually have that 1 week funky schedule for Memorial Day. Getting rid of it.
Get rid of that. God, I've been waiting a long time for this.
So we'll have that time period will be the Nantucket, the Monomoy, and the Woods Hole running during that Memorial Day chunk.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are wondering about that, for Memorial Day weekend, because of the limited passenger capacity of the Gay Head and Container, we'd bring the Nantucket down and the Sankaty down here. With the added passenger capacity of the Barnstable, Aquinnah, and Monomoy, I don't think we need to be doing that anymore.
So for the summer, you'll have the Eagle, the Monomoy, and the Woods Hole. The Monomoy will be coming out for some repair work or just general maintenance, and you'll have the Barnstable running in its place. From September to October, it'll be the Eagle, the Barnstable, and the Woods Hole. And then from October 23rd to January 1st, it'll be the Nantucket and the Woods Hole, and the Iyanough will be double crewed at that period of time. Anybody have any questions?
Okay. How much time do we have?
Not enough for
2
you.
minutes.
No, I mean, not now. I'm talking about looking at the shoulders stuff, Allison, and determining if we need to be triple crewed on 3 boats at those certain months we discussed yesterday versus the concept of we'll call it the gas boat schedule. I mean, what am I supposed to be calling that? I don't, we have never really had names for this stuff in the past. So the gas boat schedule being 5 days a week, two singles, and then having the other one be the 2 triple, you know. I just think that there's going to be that 2-month period with, we have a little too much service now with these larger vessels. And I think it would be smart to take a look at that, especially September 5th to October, that magic date that we always seem to come up with around the end of October. We just can't just, you know, Flathers is knocking in my head here a little bit with what's coming. So I think we need to look at that and tightening up the Woods Hole in the summer. I know we're already doing that, which is what we should do. We don't need the Woods Hole down here longer than the core of the summer for obvious reasons. But we gotta re-examine that shoulder part where it's still busy but not summer. And we definitely can do gas over here at that short, that, you know, what is it, 8 weeks, 7, whatever it is,
It's a short.
5
schedule.
days a week, because the capacity at 5:30 in the morning is more now. So it can help, that can offset the difference that we had before.
So, if I may, have looked at, some of those schedules, you know, September, October schedule, time period. There may be an opportunity there to, double crew, one of the boats, on that, during that time period, but, we still want to look at the, make sure that we have, accurate information in terms of the, you know, what reservations, and then in that fall as well, what the reservation requests are going to be for that time period. There's also, in that, beginning of the year schedule as well, you know, as much as we had this year, that there was times where we didn't need to run that third trip of the boat, but, you know, times where we did. So, you know, whether we're able to change that manning, assignment is, something that we continue to look at. We also, same thing on the Vineyard run, that end of year schedule. I think there's an opportunity there to, instead of, running, you know, 6 or 7 trips of the freight boat, there in the fall. I think capacity wise, we should be able to get by with, just 4 trips a day, which would change the manning assignments, but, again, want to look at what the requests are for, this coming fall, before we make that decision. So the schedule that's being presented includes that, but, we can scale it back if we need to, so.
As far as the dead of winter, Bob, I mean, that's what I refer to it as, January 3rd to March 25th, whatever. Remember when we used to be double crewed, and when we decided we have to get triple and just have this trip consolidation? We didn't call it that then, but it's crewed, but it can run, but it's not in the system for those certain trips on Sunday morning and Saturday night. I still think we're in the same boat, no pun intended. It's just a bigger boat, but we're in the same boat. I think, though, part of some of this future conceptual change is to, you know, make sure we have things open for booking as much as we can with the Barnstable, and looking at that winter numbers, and try to get more people, their cars on those boats, because I think there's a lot of potential weekend business as far as people wanting to leave, but they don't know that they can. There's a lot of issues over here now with, you know, here's the thing, you know, there's a lot of people want to take their car on the boat still, like the old days. It's just a different era, okay? And I think that combined with this extra capacity, I think we can fill in some of those spaces that we may not have been, to offset the cost of the triple crew, because you got to have it 5 days a week. You need the 3 trips in the middle of the week.
Resolve the issue with the Woods Hole, how that wasn't showing up on the schedule.
Yeah.
Get that resolved. So we're gonna look at that too with the Barnstable once, you know, we get a little bit more comfortable with the loads. And hopefully we can start having those show up as like the Woods Hole does on your route.
That's what I was trying to say. It's so hard to talk about this, especially in this setting, to explain it, but I know that you understand what I mean when I'm talking to you about these things. It's like that 4:30 on Sunday, there should be a lot of people on that boat with cars, getting home a little quicker than the 8 o'clock, you know. making sure people know that they can travel as a passenger when the fast boat's not running. Like that kind of stuff is it's a new world. We need to like kind of pretend that the Woods Hole is running in this spot. And I'm talking about in our system, in our mindset, agents, everybody knowing this. It's going to take a little longer to get this ironed out. And then the other thing, Bob, that I've talked to you and Mark about 100 times is that Nantucket cycling in when we have this other service model now, instead of the Nantucket cycling in December, which is the worst possible thing on the planet when that happens over here. But if the Nantucket cycles in to replace the Eagle in September, October, when we have 2 of these newer freight boats, that's when it should happen. I know it can't always work that way, but that is similar to what the Highline does with Great Lady 3. When we come back, they can shift that boat around because there's more capacity on the water. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, this is our first year, and we're really not. Next year is our first year, theoretically, with these boats, because they'll all be running. So
I think part of that is that's why whenever we replace the Eagle with the Nantucket, that we want to have the Woods Hole running here in addition, so that way
well, that's what's
a little extra capacity there.
And that's what we did before. But now we have the opportunity with these other boats to kind of make it maybe a little bit easier to do, less confusing with the dry docking. I mean, it's not easy for the stuff to all happen at the right time, obviously. Okay.
Nat, I had my hand up.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm
It's
back
okay.
off the gallery again. Wait a minute. God, why does that happen?
It's happening to me too.
I need
that
an
I go up
IT
gallery.
expert at these meetings. Okay.
I just like to piggyback on what you said before, since we're talking about schedules, of the necessity of having that 5:30 boat in the morning. You can't find a parking space either in Oak Bluffs, Vineyard Haven, or Edgartown after 7:30 in the morning. And most of the deliveries made here on the Vineyard are made off the street. There's only three or four places, Kronig's, the Market in Oak Bluffs, Pachico's, or the Stop and Shop, where they can actually come off the street and do their loading. Everything else is loaded from the street. So it's essential with this 5:30 boat that they're just not going to find parking spaces after 7:30 in the morning.
It does remind me, though, I do need to bring up that we do have planned work that needs to take place at the Vineyard Haven facility, starting in the fall and into the spring of next year. So you'll see that on the schedule where we do have, we have the 5:30 trip there, but the notation there is dependent upon the construction, the slip construction. So there will be a period of time during that schedule, perhaps even through the entire January, February, March schedule, where there'll only be an opportunity to berth one vessel on the island, and that 5:30 trip off island would be going away because of that. But
any chance of using the Oak Bluff stock during that period?
It'll just be too rough to keep a boat there during that time period. So,
But we're gonna monitor it like we did this year, and we have it on the schedule, so we want our shippers to actually book or request it. We won't have it in the bulks program, but that would be their first choice for waitlisting. So as we get the dates and we define when this project's gonna happen, we can add in the 5:30, and those customers will in turn get those trips. So that is something that that's why it's on the schedule, but it has an asterisk or a pound sign next to it, delineating that it could be used. It could be taken off due to construction, depending on when that happens.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Okay, Rob, your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks. I did look ahead in the package and see the different proposed times for the schedules. And I guess I just wanted to raise my annual question, which is to provide full justification for the 5:30 boat from Woods Hole to Martha's And I guess I'm interested to understand the timeline that we have for approving the 2026 schedules and when that conversation might take place?
So, we'll be presenting these to the board at their meeting in 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. And then, following that, we'll be, placing advertisements in the newspapers, for public comment. And so, that period will end, right at the end of April or,
End of May.
and,
Well,
excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll end in May, so. And then at that point, we'll look to see any comments that we received. And, again, you know, we're looking at this, and has been pointed out in the past that we do feel that there's been a demand, there's opportunities, you know, in terms of spacing out the traffic. You know, the need for that 5:30 trip. But again, we'll continue to look and, you know, address any comments that we receive.
Excuse me.
Okay, I think it's really important to make that case as strongly and as explicitly as possible. Thank you.
Okay. So I thank you all for this. And I don't mean to put you on the spot about changes in the shoulders and all that, but it's inevitable that we have to re-examine the impacts and the efficiency potential that we have on our route at those times of year now. You know, it's just, we did it 20 years ago when we widened and lengthened the freight final Sankaty. It was the last one, 2004, I believe. And, you know, it changed everything. And now this is kind of doing the same thing, but everyone's forgotten except Bob and Mark. And I don't know who else. Anyway. All right. Next item is the pre-sale high-speed 20%.
Give an update on that?
Sure, just a quick update on the results of the preseason sale for electronic high-speed ticket books, which ended on Saturday. The sale ran March 16th to 29th. Overall, we sold 4,173 ticket books, bringing in just over $1.1 million in revenue at a cost of about $275,000 due to the discount offering. That total is down from 2024, excuse me. I don't remember what year it is currently. Where it was 4,507 ticket books, but it was still well above the average for the program. And also these ticket books are good for 2 years. So people could still be using the ones that they purchased last year.
Don't expire.
And
No, they're forever.
They don't expire, sorry.
Yeah. That Flint, I'm getting Flint's knocking in my head now. Go
Now,
ahead.
Flint is haunting me as I speak. And just as a note, we did have a new record for a single purchase of 140 ticket books by a single customer this year. That's the highest ever for the sale. No, I can't tell you who it was.
Better not do that.
Overall, it was another good, strong year, and it proves that this is a really popular promotion for our customers. So I thank the Port Council as always for their support on it.
And it's a huge benefit for the island residents to be able to get these books at a discount, to be able to for their travel off islands.
Yeah. This program, very proud of this program. I just want to just reiterate though that how this all started was something that was really a simple Nantucket. It was sort of like the airlines. We all had tickets to Island Air and Nantucket Air, and you just carried both books and went out to the airport and said, what plane am I getting on? That's it. That's how it was. And with the fast ferries, it's the same thing. It's just a different mode of travel. Everyone has Highline books. There's nobody that doesn't have Highline books. I mean, if you live here, you have to have Highline books. But having the Steamship book having it be able to be purchased, whether you have one book a year or 20. Now there's a way for everyone to have both, regardless of their personal circumstances. And that's what's important about this. I do think, Sean, that given the numbers is a complex, you're never going to have more or less for a reason other than, well, I have so many left. I bought one book because I had plenty of children books. So I only needed one more adult book to add 10 more for this year. That's how people are doing it. They just look at what they have and say, well, this year I only need to buy 2. Last year I bought 3. That's how it's sort of cycles into each year for each person, each family. So I think being in the 4,000 range is good regardless of what's going on. So
Yeah, I'm definitely pleased with the results this year. So
yeah. Okay, this is a Nantucket thing, John. I'm sorry. You had the blue line. This is, whatever. So, okay. Let's see. What do we got? We got Mark R now. So there you go.
Good morning, everyone. So I want to apologize on page 5. There is going to be a formatting issue on the trip summary, but the information we need for this presentation is there. And so the business summary for the month of February. Passengers carried on the Vineyard route were down 8.1%, or just under 8,900 passengers. On the Nantucket route, we're up 6.1%, or just under 700 passengers. And putting this together for both routes combined for the month of February, down 6.8%, or 8,200 passengers. Year to date, we're down 0.7%, or 1,771 passengers for both routes combined. And as a reminder, as always, these is all the traffic statistics are one way. Passenger vehicles carried, or i.e. vehicles under 20 feet in length. The Vineyard route saw a decrease of 8%, or just over 2,100 passenger vehicles. The Nantucket route was relatively flat, or up 18 vehicles of 0.4%. Both routes combined for the month of February down 6.9%, and just over 2,100 vehicles. But year to date, we're down 1.5% for both routes combined, or 941 vehicles. Freight vehicles for the month of February, both routes combined, we're down 5.5%, or 345 vehicles. Year to date, we're down 1.9%, or 244 one-way freight vehicles, with both routes being down. The majority of it is on the Vineyard route this year. Cars parked for both routes, we're down 12.6%, or 679 vehicles. Year to date, we're down 8%, or 890 cars parked. And this is the slide I warned ahead of time, so I apologize. But looking at this for the month, we had a total of 7 trips canceled for mechanical, 97 for weather, and 47 for traffic reasons. Year to date, that brings a total of 11 trips canceled for mechanical, 116 for weather, and 115 for traffic. And just below that in the purple is our current year to date statistics, and in the blue is the prior year to date, or green, excuse my color. Okay, so the financial snapshot for the month of February, we have operating revenue down 523,000. We had operating expenses down 1.7 million, and putting this together, our net operating loss was 5.5 million, or 1.2 million ahead of budget. Most of the expense side is timing related, with the realization of expenses for one of the vessels in Vineyard Haven slip work. So here's showing where the revenue is down for the month of February and year to date. So you can see the automobiles are down 18% and 13% for the year to date and month to date. And you can see the freight is down both for the month and as well as the year. Operating expenses for the month, we're down for the maintenance 1.8 million. 1.1 million of it is for the realization of the expenses for the MV Woods Hole, which we talked about earlier. And then there's about 450,000 for the Vineyard Haven terminal work that's gonna be done in the fall this year to start work there. So we expect the Woods Hole to be realized in the month of March, and the Vineyard Haven terminal will be realized at the second half of the year. Year-to-date fuel expense is down 181,000. We budgeted $3.24 a gallon, and with our net hedges, we're coming in at $2.68 a gallon. Year-to-date, we're down total operating expenses of just under $2.9 million. So the passengers carried for the month of March, both routes combined were up 1.7%, or just over 1,600 passengers. With the Martha's Vineyard route relatively flat, while the Nantucket route was up 14.6% compared to last year. Year to date, for both routes combined, we're virtually flat, or down 135 passengers. With the Vineyard route being down just under 1% and the Nantucket route being up 7.8%. So looking at the first three weeks of March, traffic for all vehicles combined in the Vineyard route is relatively flat, up 27 vehicles or 0.1%. Nantucket's up 3%, or 154 vehicles. And putting this all together, so through the first three weeks of March, we're down 1% for both routes combined, or 1,000 vehicles. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has on the business summary.
Okay. I just want to, oh, Rob, you got your hand up. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Mark, I was just curious, what's the message here with those results? Anything sort of in the big picture that you can point to?
So it's a small sample set. So for instance, the month of January and February is roughly what the month of June is for traffic. So looking at the first 2 months, we have a really small sample set to look at. So March, we're seeing a rebound that's offsetting February. So too early to tell as far as the traffic, goes. And then we've had some, even though the weather was pretty similar to last year, but it's been not conducive to traveling with the murkiness in the first 8 weeks of the year.
Okay, thanks.
And can I just throw in something for everyone? The term traffic for canceled trips is a kind of a weird term because it doesn't really make sense unless you know what Mark is saying. It's really lack of traffic. It's like trip consolidation. I just don't know what other word they could use. But if you're first looking at it and you see the word traffic, it's kind of confusing. So that's what that means for anyone that's not sure about that.
If the full council prefer, I can change that, Mr. Lowell, to
I don't know what you could say. Consolidation. I mean, you could say that. I mean, that's technically what is happening now, but that word was never used until recently. But we've been doing it for a while.
I have the skill set now to change the header.
It means a boat that's crewed that's not running. We talked about that earlier when Allison was up with that weekend thing. It's the catch-22 situation.
That's being kind. I was the one that didn't understand that. So now
I assume somebody didn't know that term.
I get it now.
Definitely figured somebody didn't. It's sort of like the missed trips. I mean, no, not the missed trips, Mark. The thing with the additional trips when it's really, what about all the canceled ones? You know what I mean? Remember that day? That was,
yeah, I remember those.
That was before COVID. I got the evil hairy eyeball from somebody in the audience. I almost fell over. I'm like, wait a minute. So anyway, Mark, the winter. This is part of what I was saying earlier. There's a certain level of service that can't be reduced just because you got weather. You have, what if a boat, let's say a boat cancels or has a mechanical issue and that vessel that may not be running isn't crewed. Now you can't even run that boat. You'd have to take the crew off the other boat. There's all sorts of different scenarios that happen. So there is some redundancy built into this trip consolidation issue that is a needed, even if it costs the authority to park a boat. Yeah, but that boat is a backup, and that happens over here a lot. And the other issue that has not been mentioned in this conversation, And this is good for everybody, both islands. Everybody's equal right now in this this situation. These boats are basically the same footprint as other vessels now. So if there's a problem, it's not going to cause this big, huge problem with the reservations department having to call everyone and tell them they're not getting on, or tell them move the reservation, you know, that kind of thing. So it's somewhat even, except for the island home, I'm assuming. But, you know, that's going to be a very important positive thing that you won't see on one of Mark's spreadsheets.
So to summarize what you're saying, I believe, is that because of the overall lower volume in the off season, we're more susceptible to directional travel needs.
That's the other part I missed, the directional issue. When you have a boat that's full one way and half the other, that's just natural in a lot of cases. Anyway, anyone else have any questions? Sorry to jump in like that.
Thank you.
Are you all done, Mark? Do you have anything else?
Good.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
You can just question,
Rob.
there was some financial statements that were attached to the package. And I was just quite wondering whether there was anything that needed to be brought up with respect to the reports from the auditors.
Yeah, so we sent the, we had the audited financials. We had a sign off on March 28th, which, you know, I believe was a month and a half earlier than last year's. So I got to give a shout out to my, the accounting department. They did a great job this year of working with RSM to really push that through. There was one finding, which was on the IT side, regarding third-party vendors, access to the system, which we've already created a corrective action to address that. There were some past adjustments that were there. But since the business summary went out, I think the net effect from when it was presented in February to now was less than, originally we were at 13,032,000, then we came in at 12.89 million. So pretty close to what we presented back in February.
Okay, thanks. So you're generally happy with the auditor's finding, and that the one finding was minor, relatively speaking?
Well, all the findings, we don't consider them minor internally, that, you know, it needs to be correct. Then we had some past adjustments where just, those are different, that there's maybe a difference of opinion, but that's what we had. But the finding, we take them all very seriously, and we try to address them as soon as possible.
Great, thanks. Well done.
Okay. Old and new business. Anyone have anything? I've got a couple things, but I'm going to hold mine till you guys all get your chance. Joe. Yes, sir.
If I,
Bob, you want to go first, or?
we actually do have a new business item.
Okay, Joe, hold on 1 second.
At the board meeting, Mr. Jeffries brought up the desire to have a IT steering committee. And he suggested that himself, along with perhaps up to 2 members of the Port Council. The board did vote to volunteer Mr. Jeffries on behalf of the board, and they'd be looking for a couple of members from the Port Council to participate in the IT steering committee. I think there was a couple names. I don't know whether I want to name them or if they want to raise their hands.
I'll never raise my hand for that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Neither will I.
You don't have to worry about me.
There's one.
So I see that Joe has his hand up, but I don't think that's the same thing.
Here's my ink pen. I still write with a fountain pen. So, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could speak.
I think the discussions had been that perhaps Mr. Cahill and Mr. DeWicki might be interested in becoming members of that, but I'll leave that up to the Port Council and to John and Eric.
Yep.
I make a motion, Mr. DeWicki and Mr. Cahill be on that committee.
Second.
That was fast. Wow. Okay. All those in favor?
Well, we can discuss still. I just.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Second for discussion then, okay. You good with that, John and Eric?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to say, thank you, Bob, for that intro. We're 45 days away from picking a reservation system, and that's exciting. A lot of hard work has gone into this effort by the IT group with Stephen Coleman, all of operations, Mark Rosem, and Gibbous. And we're at a stage right now where we believe that by opening it up more with Peter's direction, we'll be able to invite people from the outside to raise their concerns, comments, and add value. And I look forward to being part of that committee. And I would think Eric would be a good choice. He had expressed interest in the past, and we've had a couple of conversations. And with the Port Council approval, we would enjoy having him as part of the committee.
Okay. So I'll go for a roll call vote then. On who made the motion? Joe made the motion.
I made the
Gordon
motion,
seconded. Yep. All those in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Joe,
Aye, yes.
John,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
and chair votes aye. Excellent.
Congratulations.
Do you have anything else, Bob? Do you have anything else, Bob, before we go to just old and new for the board members?
That's it from,
Okay. So Joe, you got your hand up.
I did. This is a permit for Oak Bluffs. Bob, where are we with the Oak Bluffs repairs? And when are we gonna be opening Oak Bluffs?
so the schedule, I believe, it'd be opening on May 13th. I don't know whether, they've gotten over there, to take a look at the, underside of the pier to determine if there's anything that needs to be addressed at this point, but,
He's been working over there.
apparently there has been, some people working over there already, so, we should be, on target for May 13th. And I remind me that I did, actually receive a, email, on, I guess it was Friday, from, the town of Oak Bluffs, advising that, the fireworks in August, and, their request to divert the trips on the day of the fireworks as we've done in the past, so, with everything going on, I didn't get it on, under the schedule, and I forgot to add it to my notes here, but, we'll be looking at that. It's an August date that, they have, so we'll be happy to work with the town on that.
Two other things too, has the generator been installed?
All the switch gear and everything is there. The generator is not on site because it's, we'll be bringing that over, right around the time that the terminal opens up.
And lastly, is the island home gonna be coming in there this summer?
No,
We had talked about that at time, but, okay, thank you.
we did have it prior to it coming offline to go into repair. We did, take the island home over to Oak Bluffs, that this was something that we just want to be able to, if something was to happen in Vineyard Haven, that we want to make sure that that vessel could go there. There are a number of issues we need to address in terms of the bollards and for the vessel tie downs and things like that, and certain hatches are actually where fender systems are, so we'll have to look at how we address that, but it did go over there, it did fit, it did match up with the transfer bridge and the head dolphins and everything like that, but there is still some work that we need to do to make that to consider putting that on the Oak Bluffs schedule as opposed to the Vineyard Haven schedule. And it becomes a whole issue particularly in the summertime, the amount of traffic in Vineyard Haven, having the double island home going into Vineyard Haven versus it going to Oak Bluffs, and those are all discussion points we'd have to be coming back to the Port Council and board to discuss those, the advantages of one versus the other.
Thank you, Bob.
John, I see your hand up, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Bob, have we signed the contract with Fast Stream yet?
No, we got a draft of the contract. There were some comments that were returned. My understanding is that the person that would be signing it is out of the office until Monday.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, everybody all set? Here's my stuff now.
Here.
First, I want to thank Mike Bentley and his team for coming over here Sunday morning.
Hold on a minute, Mr. Chair. I don't know whether this is
Is that
something
wrong?
whether you can actually bring anything up at this point. Although that did happen after the agenda was posted.
No, I just want to say thanks.
I'll defer to council.
Still waiting to find out what he's saying.
I can't thank anyone from the Steamship for something now. Wow, that's pretty
You can
bad.
say thank you, Nat. Yes, you can.
I just want to thank them for coming over and getting that all to work on Sunday morning like that from, a million miles away. Is very important to get that cable fixed. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Fine, yeah.
I just didn't know where you were going on that.
No. I'm not talking about anything that's never going to happen. Don't worry about it. So, all right. So I want to bring up something for you guys. That September 15th this year is that weird Labor Day is on the 1st. It's like, what is that, every 7 years or something?
I think we'll have to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that on the agenda now.
We have to put
that'll
that
have to
on
be
the agenda.
We'll have to put that on the agenda. So
unbelievable. Okay.
As chair, you can't bring up.
Yeah, you gotta bring it up beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. I guess
tight ship.
I'm not allowed to say anything anymore. That's all right. I get told to shut up all the time over here.
Well, they put you in the chair.
Okay, anyone else have anything?
Yeah,
Rob?
yeah, I just want to pick up on John's question about the contract with Fast Stream, and I guess I would encourage us to try to get that contract in place with alacrity. It's now April, and we really haven't even started the search, so I think it's important that get done as quickly as possible. So I would encourage expediting that process. Thank you.
As I said, I believe it's just a matter of, at this point, that the person that has to review / sign it is out of the office, so.
Okay. That's it, I guess.
Motion to adjourn.
Public
Yes.
comment though?
You get public comment.
Oh, public comment. Yes. We already did the IT thing, so jumped into that. So anyone with any public comment?
Yeah.
Sean?
Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Cody. I live in Chilmark on the Vineyard. I want to say that I'm a member of the Steamship Authority Citizens Action Group, and that many of us were very disappointed the fact that the board decided to table without any discussion or debate the question of adding a non-voting public member, something that many people at different ports had said that they wanted. We also want to say thank you to Nat and Rob for their leadership in this and for stating emphatically at their search committee meeting that they thought it was very important to have additional knowledge and skill set added for true oversight and transparency and just cooperation. In contrast, we also want to thank Peter Jeffrey for all the hard work he's done heading the IT executive team thus far and deciding to add 2 more Port Council people, John and Eric. And as you've said today, it's really important to have as many people as possible weigh in on these important decisions. The new general manager search and the reservation system are the 2 things right now, other than the building, which I'll get to in 1 second, that people are really having their eye on and that affect people's lives. And So we'll be watching that really carefully, and we are happy that it's going to go 3 months past the 2-year estimated timeline of finishing the reservation system so that we really can understand what's happening there. The third thing I want to say is I was off on island this past week, and I was walking through a construction site. I basically was walking where a huge construction vehicle was backing into me, and I had to avoid it. So right now, I know that there really is no signage for people of where they should walk. There's one less bus lane. And I also am very nervous about safety issues for pedestrians this summer. And it's not even the summer. It's kind of chaotic there. People really will not know where to go. So as soon as you can get signage up and better markings, I think that's essential. Because the last thing we want to have happen is someone get hit by a construction vehicle or a bus or a car. And the last and perhaps most important thing for me is I'd like to hear from Bob Davis if he's really willing to commit to a public meeting about the new building. Woods Hole in Falmouth has not had a public meeting for over 3 years. And when people are writing him, asking him for more information and clarity, the answer that they get is received. What people want is to be able to understand what's going on at that construction site and what the pros and cons are. And as Eric said, there's many exciting things perhaps to talk about with that building. But if Bob refuses to meet with people and explain what's happening and talk about the pros and cons and really hear people's concerns, then what it appears is that the steamship is closed and doesn't have any interest in dealing with the public you are serving. So Bob, I would like to hear from you whether you are committed to having a public meeting to talk about the building site.
So as I mentioned earlier, conversations with Peter Jeffrey about having a meeting. We haven't gotten to the point of determining when that would occur, but we'll be once that happens, we'll be making sure that we put an announcement out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If I could kind of chat about that, Amy, thanks for that question, but in defense of Bob, I've talked to him a few times and he really wants to get this right. And I think, part of the problem is Bob is juggling 4 or 5 major projects. And I'm even concerned that we're in the middle of finding a replacement for Bob right now, because he's actually done a decent job. I've been around big business my whole life and things aren't going horrible. I see projects that are being balanced. I see new vessels coming on. And I just think what we need to do is communicate. And I have not spoken to the board. I don't know who's on the board, quite honestly, but as a kid that, like I said, when I first came here, my very first commercial job was cleaning toilets on the Aquinnah. I know this business. My grandfather worked for the steamship. My father was head of engineering for a little while, and he started working for the Steamship Authority at 15 years old. And there's a lot going on, more than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I don't think it is going badly. But I think what is going badly is everybody is so afraid to react and respond to the public because things haven't been very kind and generous to these folks working their tails off. And I do say, yeah, invite people and talk to them and approach them so they don't have to feel like they're being left out of the process. But I'm also reaching out to the public to say, hey, be a little bit more kind and generous, because these guys are juggling an awful lot. And I think they're actually doing a damn good job of it. And I'm going to take a lot of heat for saying that publicly. I'm going to tell you that right now, but I'm looking at everything kind of with a fine tooth comb because I'm interested in this organization. It's part of my family heritage. I just think we need to all work together as a community and as an entity to make sure that everybody's needs are being met. But doing it with a little bit of kindness doesn't hurt. Not that I'm suggesting Amy, you're not being kind. I think you really were diplomatic in your presentation, but let's absolutely be generous to each other and work together, public and steamship. That's my 2 cents.
Well, if I just may add to that, so thanks for that, but it's the team that's managing all these projects, and yes, there is a lot on our plate, and we'll look to a date that we can get to have a meeting, that if anyone wants to get questions about the terminal project and the direction that the project is in, we'll be happy to.
Hey, folks, I unfortunately have to drop. I know we still have a quorum, so I'm going to say sign off and see everybody soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
Take care, Rob.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything?
Any more public comment?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Sean.
yeah,
Sorry.
all right, Jonathan Chattonover.
Yep, I see it.
So just a quick question. My son was on a Peter Pan bus headed toward the steamship, and I guess because of construction, that bus had to wait in line behind all of the people, going into the stopping at that little ticket check-in. I was wondering, is there any thought to having all vehicles exit toward the pie in the sky road and have 2 lanes to enter into the area, one being reserved for buses so that they can get there?
So obviously during the construction period, some of the traffic patterns that we envision once the project is done aren't there at the moment. So we do from the vessels, they do exit via Caldry Road and also via Railroad Ave. And it's just the terminal people look at it in terms of what's the safest route for those vehicles to be exiting. So again, we have this construction going on, and when it's all said and when the project is done, there'll be 2 check-in booths at the base of the hill there. So there would be it's split into two lanes at that point. So
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Does anyone else have anything?
No, that's all.
Okay. We appreciate everyone's work and efforts, and we will see you all in a month.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Eric?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
And chair votes aye.
Nice job, Nick.
Thank you,
Good
Jack.
job,
Good job.
Thank you
Nate.
all so
Great
much
job.
for
Thanks.
everything.